So how do you know that you come from a narcissistic family system? Well, I can tell you already, if you're here because you're feeling confused, you feel, angry, you feel something is unjust, yet you feel love and guilt and shame and confusion, and you doubt yourself, you doubt your reality, then that's a pretty good sign that something is going on. Something's not right, because generally, if you come from a healthy family, you will not have these types of doubts. In a healthy family, um, you know healthy families will teach you that to validate yourself, and that your emotions matter, and that how you feel matters. So if you're questioning yourself, and if you're questioning your reality, I mean, it's definitely a sign that something is not right. But I do want to read you a quote which I feel really, really, really describes these types of family systems quite well. And it goes like this: that didn't happen. And if it did, it wasn't that bad. And if it was, it's not a big deal. And if it is, it's not my fault. And if it was, I didn't mean it. And if I did, you made me do it. You made me do it. Everything is always all your fault, right? In a narcissistic family system, everything will revolve around the inner world, the projections of this central family figure, and that figure will call the shots. And the way that the dysfunction will manifest, it can vary, because you have, they can do it covertly or they can do it overtly. So if your narcissistic family system, is ruled by a overt, grandiose, attention-seeking kind of parent, it will have a very different vibe than if it's ruled by a covert narcissistic type, which is addicted to victimhood. But either way, these people will call the shots, and they will label other family members either as angels, as demons, or as non-existent, invisible, dismissed, and all of this will be based on whether other people can please them, or whether other people align with their own inner world building. Because of course, in a narcissistic family system, everything revolves around the inner world of that one figure. And this categorization will extend onto the children. The narcissistic parent will categorize their children as a demon, an angel, or as not existing, either way. And this is all because they project, their inner world onto their environment. Their children do not have room to have their own inner world. Everything revolves around the inner world of that particular figure. And in healthy families, family members are treated as equal. A parent understands that their children and that other people have their own inner worlds. They have their own, their own dreams, their own aspirations, their own. They feel their own emotions. They have their own ideas. They have their own individuality, right? Other family members are treated as equals. I have small kids, and how they feel matters, and I take into account their inner worlds when I make decisions. Ensuring that kind of everybody, everything sort of aligns as much as possible with all the family members. But in a dysfunctional family, it doesn't work like that. It's a pecking order, okay? It's all about power. It's all about maintaining those power positions. It's about demanding perfection. demanding perfection, demanding blind loyalty. Even though you're wrong, you still expect people to be blindly loyal to you. It's about expecting a submissiveness. It's about addiction to victimhood. It's about addiction to victimhood, because that central figure, everything they do has a reason. They will hit you, they will psychologically abuse, they will throw tantrums, they will behave in a dysfunctional manner, but they always have a reason to do that, right? It's all about their victimhood, and it doesn't matter how many people they hurt along the way. Their victimhood gives them a green card to do as they please, and there's also this presentation of this false image to the world, right? There's an addiction for external validation. How people feel about the way that your family presents itself matters more than the actual individuals and how they feel inside that household. Now, the other thing about narcissistic family system that's really important to understand is that abuse is normalized. And that's why you're confused. That's why you doubt yourself. That's why, there's guilt and there's shame. It's because abuse is normalized. It becomes normal. Abuse is normal. And there will always be reasons for the abuse. There's always a reason, behind what a person does. And, in these types of systems, only the abuser, the one person who orchestrates the whole thing, is allowed to feel their emotions fully. Only they're allowed to throw tantrums. Only they're allowed to be displeased. Only they're allowed to suffer. Oh my God, if somebody else suffers, they are stealing their light. They are stealing their power. Because now everybody's paying attention to the person who's suffering, Only one person's allowed to suffer. Everybody else must tiptoe and keep quiet and can't show their emotions, and certainly can't show different ideas, certainly can't have different opinions, That's a big no-no, okay? Only one person is allowed to showcase their inner world, and everybody else's, especially their children's inner world, is insignificant. It's a tantrum, When a narcissistic mother sees her daughter have a panic attack, she will call it a show for attention. She will mock her. She will mock the anxiety and the pain that she causes in the other person, because suffering becomes a competition. I suffer more than you, therefore your suffering means nothing. You're nothing. Your suffering is nothing compared to my suffering. Everything is about power position. I am more powerful than you. I suffer more than you. I know more than you. I'm older than you. I have, I'm whatever it is, it's all about power. And in these types of families, there will be a lot of gaslighting. That did not happen the way you think it did. Okay? That did not happen the way you think it did. You must think how I think. You must feel how I feel. You must do what I do. Well, not do what I do. You must do what I want you to do, right? And anything that differs from that, if you're, the scapegoat of a narcissistic parent, even when, they give you silent treatments and, for months at a time, or even if they get physically violent with you, even if they call you names, even if they throw smear campaigns and badmouth you and this and that, when you turn around and confront them about this, they will say, you made me do it. They will say, that didn't happen that way. You're the one who did this, and they will twist the story around and will never, ever, ever validate your feelings, because they don't matter. Only the one central figure's world matters. And by the way, of course, a narcissistic family system can have several narcissists, and sometimes both parents can be narcissistic, And when that happens, it can create so much confusion for the kids, because one parent will have his favorite and the other one will have their favorite, and the children will have completely different experiences of what of what reality is in that household, you know. So that will definitely create also a huge division, you know, among family members. But the main thing is, I gotta tell you, is denial. You know, it's all about denial. You know, the narcissist surrounds themselves with enablers. You know, it's all about image. It's all about that false, you know, that fake, you know, image that they present to the world of a wonderful family and this and that. But meanwhile, all the abuses, all the things that happen behind closed doors that nobody is seeing are never discussed. They're not talked about. Everything is denied. It's denial, 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 denial. I mean, everything is completely denied, you know, denied, distorted. And you know, if you're the scapegoat of such a system, and you're the one who gets, you know, who's the target of that kind of parent, already you're traumatized, and everybody around you is denying what's happening, and they will use guilt and presence and favors as leverage, you know, the happy moments and the good side of the narcissistic parent to try and make you feel crazy, like what they're doing to you is not okay. I mean, these are all things that happen in these types of systems. And I have an article that I will put the link to it in this video description, so you can take a look if you want more specific information about these types of systems. But the main thing is, you know, for me, is if you're confused, that's a sign. If guilt and love walk hand in hand for you, that's a sign, because love does not walk hand in like with guilt, you know. Love elevates you. It doesn't bury you beneath the ground, you know. Love elevates you. Love is not about power. Love is not about overpowering another person. Love treats you as an equal, you know. And love certainly does not invalidate your feelings. Love certainly does not make you feel like, you know, your memory, your experiences are not valid. They don't matter, because loyalty comes first, right? Because the power position is so much more important than what really goes on in the system. So if you are in such a system, I just want you to know that you're not alone. You know, I'm a survivor, and you really can build a good life for yourself, but it's important for you to emotionally detach, and for you to, if you can go no contact, because this is an entire system that you can't change. It's a mentality. It's a mentality, and within that mentality, they decide what's normal, right? For them, dysfunction is normal, but it doesn't have to be normal to you, you know. Their normal doesn't have to be your normal, and you can put your foot down, and you can get to know yourself. You can get to know your boundaries, and you can say, you know what, you can't hit me. You know what, you can't speak to me this way. You know what, if you're gonna give me the silent treatment, then, you know, I don't need to grovel back on my knees for your love. I really don't, you know. I have self-respect, and I don't need to do these things for your love anymore. Because that's not love. That's not how healthy families work. So, you know, check out my articles, and look, the most important thing is for you to focus on yourself, take care of yourself, and trust yourself. If you feel confused, if you're here, then something is wrong, and trust that gut feeling, and, you know, take that step towards self-care and self-validation and self-love.